All right, guys, we're back with the DDM podcast. I'm here with a couple more special guests. We got Reese Marin from the East Coast, and then we got Dan Perlenfine from the Midwest, and then again, as always, we have Jelani. So this might be a little interesting because you guys all seem to at least be getting into drifting at different times, it sounds like. Who, when you first started getting into drifting, was like really big and like kind of like your idol, or I guess who you looked up to in drifting when you guys got into it?
Chris Forsberg. It's the answer to everything, you know. I don't know, he was the popular name. He was good. He was the one you saw all the time, you know. And I don't know if I would consider these people an idol, but like I have friends that live local to me that I saw doing it, whether it be in videos or I went to the track and watched them, and it's like, hey man, this shit's cool, like I want to do it, you know. So I kind of got into it because a friend did, and I think there's probably a lot of drivers that way, you know, that get into it that way. But as far as like an idol goes, Chris Forsberg.
So, all right, what about you, Reese? When did you start drifting again?
2005.
Okay.
Yeah, I never liked cars. Like, cars was never, I was like that Philadelphia kid that only cared about basketball, and I would take trains everywhere and SEPTA, which is public transportation. And I saw Initial D, and that was it. Like, it's the most cliche way of getting into drifting, but I saw that, and I asked my Filipino friend, like, can you do that in real life? And when he showed me videos, I was hooked. I would have to say, I'd have to break that up into two dudes. I was big Kazama guy, just because like I would hear that he was like really tough, and Taniguchi too. Like, he's a robot with this hand movements. It looked like he was effortless when he would drive, and so I definitely come from that early 2000s era of seeing how people would do things. Even though like I have a V8 in my S13, but I did that for other reasons. But Kazama was definitely somebody that stood out to me. I really liked the way he drove. I really liked how precise like the Japanese drivers were and how elegant everything looked. So Kazama definitely was always somebody that stuck out to me. And but the first drifter or the first car that I saw in America that I was like, wow, this is so cool, was actually an old school drifter by the name of Matt Martin. He was a drifter from US Drift back in like 2006 or something like that, when John Wagner from Drift Alliance was and from Club Loose 2 was competing, and he had this MA Motorsports car. It wasn't Brian from MA Motorsports, Wilkerson's car. It was Matt Martin's car that had all these star stickers all over it.
Oh, I know.
You remember that car? And it said MA Motor. It was green. It was a hatch. It was
a intercooler sticking
out
of it at one point.
Yeah, dude. I had all this crazy, and it was a KAT. You know what I mean? It was gorgeous. It was beautiful, and I saw him drift one time at Summit Point.
Hyperfest.
At Hyperfest,
yeah,
and I was like,
there.
this is so cool. Like, and I don't know, I just liked the way the car looked, and he was like a super nice dude, and I totally geeked out like years later when I saw him at Hyperfest again, and he was like, yo, thanks for the run, dude, and like he was like competing in the same thing. I'm like, bro, I used to watch videos of you. You know what I mean? Like, because I had a KAT at the time and stuff like that. So those two guys, Kazama and Matt Martin, definitely stuck out. And luckily I have Vaughn, Chris, Tony Angelo, and all those dudes were all part of Club Loose. So to me, they were just like friends. You know what I mean? And but for some reason, Matt Martin he stuck out to me for some reason. Sure.
He was pretty aggressive driver.
Yeah, I liked it. You know, he's from down in Maryland, I believe it was.
A lot of noise because of all turbo noises and stuff. It was really cool.
Very exciting. You know, it was really cool. Yeah. Good times. Yeah, and his car was awesome.
Backstory first. So I'm just a kid from the hood. So I like shiny things, and you know I like to stunt. So right. So honestly, when I got into drifting because of my roommates in college. When I got to college, I didn't even have a car. So I was like you. I grew up in D.C. catching the bus and the train everywhere. Moved to Lima, Ohio for college, nothing but cornfields. I was walking to Olive Garden. I was a waiter at Olive Garden. So I saved up and bought my first car. And my first car was an S14. And I really didn't start idolizing anybody until I got that car because I idolized people who had the same car. So my first group of people I was really rocking with was Risky Devils, actually. You know, they had big candy paint, chrome stickers, big wheels, street drifting. I was a street skater getting chased out of spots and stuff like that. And I just related to it. So, you know, I used to come home from class every day and jump on Vimeo and look for the new Risky Devil drops. And then they kind of had the outlaw mentality because at the time everybody bashed street drifting really hard. because you know drifting was young and they were worried, and it was valid. They were worried that you know it was going to harm drifting if something crazy happened on the streets. But you know I kind of had the outlaw mentality back then too, so I was like, whatever, screw it. And then after really getting immersed in the drifting and more technique and not just the big flashy car, which they had technique too, but I really became a fan of Yokoi. So like
MCR Factory.
Yeah, MCR Factory, Yokoi. To this day, me and my bro, my best friend, he's a Nakamura guy and I'm a Yokoi guy, and we just send each other videos back and forth of each one doing amazing things. Like, yo, this is why Yokoi's better, this is why that guy's better. And when he finally came to FD, I was like, that was like it for me right there. I was like, dude, Yokoi's an FD. And you walk up and look at his car, and it was pretty much his S14 with a sequential and a 2J instead of an SR. Like, it had stock rear LCAs on it, factory R200 diff, R200 or R230 diff, R230 axles. It had stock front LCAs, like cut and weld knuckles and stuff, cable brake, floating calipers on the back. And I'm like, dude, this thing is like, this is a street car, bro. Like, and he was shredding. So yeah, it's definitely, to this day, still Yokoi is my favorite driver. S14 gang, so that's why.
Just so many to choose from, bro. I'm already thinking of other drivers, and I'm like, damn,
Yep.
damn.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of drift videos. Like, I am that dude that I haven't grown up. Like, I loved drift videos when I was 19, 20, and I still go on YouTube, Vimeo, and I search for like any grassroots drifting. I mean, Nate, you know, like I told you before, I'm a nerd. I look for that, and I don't. It could be like the worst like sanction event. The people will tell me, I'm like, but did you see the driving? Like, I'm that guy that will say that. I'm like, yeah, that dude sucks, whatever. But did you see the driving? Did you see this tandem between, I don't know who this dude is and who this dude is?
Right.
You know, like right now, like to me, if I could go anywhere right now, grassroots wise, it would probably be that Victoria Island in British Columbia, Capital Drift. They're like, you have to like ferry your car or something. I don't know what it is over there. I saw Animal Style went over there and I was like, damn, I wanted to get there. But the guys over there, Husky Situations, there's like 12 of these gray cars that stack up together in this track in British Columbia and in Canada, and like nobody knows about these guys. And I'm like,
What's the track look like? Is it like an oval track?
it's like an ovalish type of thing.
Yeah, I know, I watched that.
Like the Drift Union dudes, Drift
It's
Union,
got like
whatever.
a wall in the center of it.
Yeah,
They come
yeah.
in and all that dude,
Yeah.
they get down.
I try. They're just literally on the other side of the like almost the world for me. So,
Yeah.
but one day for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some major differences you see in the different regions of drifting in the United States, at least that you guys have noticed? Just out of curiosity.
I feel like we're gonna get a bunch of shit.
We're about to get hate. That's why I was like, we're about to get the hate.
It's about to get real serious.
We're about to get the hate.
I look at it like, first of all, the United States is huge. Okay, let's look. I forget what driver it was that explained it this way, but you can fit Japan inside of California. Okay, so let's take that in mind. And now you have the rest of the country, another 49 states, and we're all scattered everywhere. We're all gonna drive different. We're all gonna have different perspectives of how things needs to be done. We're all gonna have our theories or our religion on how this is going to be done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think the Shot-Town guys, the Risky Devil guys, there's a lot of different crews that are out there, and we should be thankful that drifting has grown so much that these little miniature cultures inside of this huge culture of drifting has happened. You know, Japan don't got that.
Nope.
We got that. And we bitch about it.
Yep.
We bitch about it like it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When like those dudes think what we do is awesome. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they may make fun of it a little bit here and there, but they do crazy things. Have you seen that crazy lifted stuff? We may like, but nobody says nothing to those dudes. Why? Because they're doing it.
Well, and another thing, once these Japanese guys come over here and drive, they all want to come back.
Yeah.
They love it.
They like our attitude. They like the way we are. Like they like the freedom of what we have to do things and stuff like that. So the West Coast definitely has style, has this pizzazz, has this aggressive style of, well, a different kind of aggressive style of drifting that Animal Style and a lot of those Japanese influenced people and a lot of other grassroots drifters from that area have definitely influenced and have been putting on the forefront with things like Super D and like, you know, that mentality of, I mean, when they did the burnout and Formula D, that the outlaw mentality started coming back. It was almost like another wave, another trend of like the risky doubleness coming into California. And then you have Chicago that has like very clean swag, suave. I mean, I hope I'm not getting people in trouble over there, but I'm pretty sure those dudes are still street drifting in certain areas over there. I mean, that stuff happens, you know what I mean? Then you have Texas that has their own style as well too. You know, the East Coast has a very aggressive, I'm gonna bang my door into your door mentality that not everybody likes, you know what I mean? But some people respect, and you know, you have people like the Bloodmasters that come out of that give us a persona, give us like this image. But then you have people like Faction and Front Street and all these other dudes that are like a new age. So I don't know. I don't think anybody's better than anybody else per se. I think people just prefer driving styles more than other ones due to who your group of friends are and how you came into drifting. You know, I mean,
Well, but let's put it this way then. What are some interesting things that you've seen other regions do?
So I'll jump in for a second. I'm gonna say Cali is the land of overbuilt cars.
We gotta go.
Yeah, but now this is but in a good way, right? So like a lot of these dudes have the nastiest fabrication skills I've seen. So I admire those cars just for the build. Like, I want to see how far you can take it. I follow that guy, Aaron Parker, the Wolf. You know, he runs Pro-Am. That has to be the craziest Pro-Am car I've ever seen. Right. Like, he's updating it again right now. I'm like, bro, what can you change? And then there's more. Like, what can you change? Like, you got HGT, like, the thing is amazing. I saw it at Irwindale, and I had to stand there and look at it for, like, freaking 10 minutes. Like, oh, my God. I've always had a soft spot for FDs, too, so that one really hit my spot. Everything Rad Industries does, one of my favorite YouTube channels to watch. I love watching him build cars. And, like, he's building cars for clients out in Cali, and I'm looking at him like, man, that's crazy. Like, what is this guy going to do with it? Take it to the moon? Like, oh, my God. So Cali has they got a bunch of crazy fabricators out there building insane chassis. I mean, you know, a lot of iconic, crazy built drift cars came out of there. Of course, Animal Style changed that up a little bit. I think Animal Style, it was the Animal Style and Risky Devil Proceed collaborative to make Final Bout happen, completely changed the whole across the country American demographic as far as drifting goes, and not in like a bad way or anything like that, but like more obtainable. There's a lot of people who are true like J influence themed drifters that love the J style, and now they created venues and events and opportunities for them to go and link up with other people with the same style as them and the same interest to be in one place, and that's a beautiful thing. You know, that happens in every form of anything, is that the people who do it that way want to group together and like put on a dope event. And yeah, I think Final Bout changed a lot of stuff, just like you said, Bloodmaster changed a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people who don't care about that crap, and they just want to thrash, and like, you know, that's been around too. Embrace that.
Oh wait, but I will say that this is something I got asked today about the Bloodmasters. They're like, can you just tell the Bloodmasters to get better looking cars? And what you guys don't know is that they all have good-looking cars.
John Wagner has the longest running.
Yeah,
I blame John Wagner for Hot Boys.
Yeah, he was like the original, dude.
John Wagner,
all of those dudes. But Brian Wilkerson, Matt Martin, John Wagner, Steve. Well, he was a little bit newer. You know what I mean? He's a little bit newer, but he has that same look.
Yeah,
they've been doing that.
Yep.
They've been doing this stuff. They all have. Matthew Petty has a really good looking 350Z, a really good looking BMW. All of them do. It's just when they want to practice just going balls to the wall, they're going to get their beater cars. Now, some people mistook that information wrong and just started building like these shit boxes.
They're not even
safe. You know what I mean?
Right?
They're not even safe.
Yeah.
So it's like that's just drifters being lazy, or that's not even a drifter. That's just a dude being lazy.
You just gave
me an excuse.
And call it being cool.
Yeah, we were being American.
Right. Well, because you look at, you know, we're at a circle track right now. Where do you go? You go to the Dawn of Destruction events where we take a whole bunch of shitbox cars and figure eight race and crash into each other, demo derbies, school bus racing, trailer racing, figure eight my boat truck, boom. Like,
two trucks chained together and try to pull, like, that's who we are.
I didn't mind the Bloodmaster stuff. Like, I think the one of the video was crazy.
It was amazing. It was revolutionary.
Yeah, and my only concern with the Bloodmaster stuff really was the kids, like you were saying, who took it wrong. And if I'm trying to bring someone out to a drift event to get them hype on drifting, and it's 40 cars that all look like crap and they don't drive good.
Yeah. Or what's even worse, in my opinion, is you go to an event where everybody looks good, and then they drive like crap.
And they don't drive.
That's the equivalent to me. I tell people it's like seeing somebody come to the skate park every day for 6 months, and then when he flips his board around, There's no grind marks. There's nothing on it. You're
He's
just
over there polishing it.
You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
Which I'm not going to say what groups or what events, but there were some of those events that we've talked about that are hot boyish. That the first couple events, I'm like, this is an embarrassment, bro. These guys fucking suck. And then they cleaned it up.
Yep.
But we at least gave these dudes the opportunity to clean it up because now those dudes rip.
Yep.
And like they weren't going to always suck. I said, yeah, this is the first time they did it. This is maybe their second time they did it. It may not be the best driving because this is a new thing. But now all those dudes are real. I'd go drive with those dudes.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I got nothing but love for their driving style. If anything, that's another driving style that maybe you should go learn how to drive.
Yeah.
Because if you're a real drifter, then you should be a good adaptive driver. Have diversity.
Yeah, traveling around. If I had to say low key, one of the most slept on drift communities would probably Vegas drift.
I've never been there, so I can't really. I've seen videos.
Yeah.
So and the problem with watching just videos is that they only put what's good.
Oh, of course.
On there,
I'm
so
not
you don't
showing
know.
you that.
So what I usually do is I try to find the
Pretty
raw.
much any event looks
Yeah.
good.
You can make almost
Specialize
anything.
in
Nate throwing shade out there. He's like, yo, I make you all look.
They say, my guy.
I make you look good.
I could get you a video you can petition to the FD with. Yo, I'm a savage.
I like the guy who used to film for. They used to film me drift. Michael Russo. There was times he would come out to me. He's like, yo, I don't know what you want me to make out of these last 3 laps you just did, but like if that's all we're doing today, like you're not getting a video. That was horrible. You know, like, and I'm like, damn, all right, like I gotta go out there, like really, I gotta throw down for my video guy. You know what I mean? And it's like, but it's cool because that's somebody that's pushing you. You know what I mean? And to make it better. I think the best solution is like if you see a new style out there, you can chop it up. You can make fun of it a little bit, playfully bust their balls about it. But at the end of the day, those dudes are just, they love a sport that you love. It's just a different variation. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Don't be out there endlessly shit talking and hating on people. Yeah. But yeah, definitely check out Vegas. Dude, I went out there for SEMA and seen the type of cars that are out there. They also have some pretty crazy builds, some gnarly. I've seen some of the like nicest, well-built Pro-Am cars I've ever seen. But like the track selection they have within, because they're close to Grange, they got the skid pad at Vegas. They got a lot of options out there. It's a nice central location. And like the dudes are getting down, man. Like, and there's a large talent pool in Vegas too, and so this is one of the things that kind of was lacking in the Midwest for a little bit, is at Vegas Drift, dude Forrest is out there throwing down his S15 on some scrub events. Like he's got this expensive thing out there tandeming with like cars that are worth the quick change in that car, just throwing down. Alec Hollindale's out there driving. There's so much talent that these young guys are driving with out there. You can learn from that, and that was pretty cool seeing that. And then kind of out here, for a while, there wasn't like this big bro, like the East Coast, like you were saying, has this big pool of like professional drifters lingering around and help coach people and help people out. And then, you know, and that's all over the East Coast, all the way to the south through Summit Point, all the way up to Englishtown. Texas has a lot of dudes down there that can help you out, that's been doing it. You know, Aaron Losey, I seen that dude drifting out here at Columbus Motor Speedway in like 2007 or something like that. You know, that's been through it, that can help you out. And it kind of ran a little bit dry out here for a little bit, so there wasn't a lot of guidance. It always seemed like you know, the Midwest was always kind of a little bit down on the big bro stuff. Like, 'cause, I mean, guys got families. It's not like it's a
the last 3 years, the Midwest is like manifested into like blooming up. So then you have all the people from out here that are ripping like you, and I'm just like, yo, these dudes rip. You know, these dudes legitimately know what they're doing. You know, and that's because people that love the sport in this area, whether they were loud about it or not, passed on those techniques, and now you have this new waves of drivers that are out there ripping and stuff like that. Like, I don't want to get behind you and chase you. That's a lot of smoke I got to deal with, bro. You know what I mean? But like, then there's other dudes like Michael, who has that really hot boy car. Then I'm like, well, I'm trying to drive with that dude too. Is it a different style of driving? Yeah, but it should be both appreciated, you know what I mean? It's here to stay, it ain't going nowhere, we can't snap our fingers. And let's just say this, it would be really boring if all of our cars were the same, because then we'd have NASCAR, you know what I mean? So let's be happy that we can all be diverse, and we actually have the opportunity to like playfully make fun of one another. You know what I mean? And when people make fun of you, don't take it so serious. Like, they're not taking money away from you or nothing like that. Like, just brush it off, man. Like,
all right, guys. So on to the last question of the day. This kind of just came up. Adam LZ just released that he was going to run Pro 2 this year. Obviously, he petitioned. He didn't go through the ranks of trying to get his Pro 2 license through Pro-Am series. I'm kind of curious on your guys' thoughts on people doing that. Do you think it's good for the sport, bad for the sport? Do you advise other people to do that, or is that just something, or is this like a one-time thing where it's okay? Or I'm kind of curious on your thoughts, because you have seen a couple people petition in and do really poorly. So kind of curious on just your thoughts on the whole petitioning process and whether that should be a thing or not.
Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, I don't know a whole lot about like FD's petition process, but I feel like, you know, it's all about what's going to be good for the sport. I don't think they're going to just let somebody in just because they have money or just because they're famous. Adam LZ drives a lot. Like, that dude drives a lot. He may not have went through Pro-Am, but he's won, you know, small mini comps in certain places. He has a shit ton of seat time. Definitely has a capable car. I know that FD probably has like a panel of people that decide who can petition in. To be completely honest, I considered petitioning in for this year, but I felt like I wasn't ready yet. But I think the petition process is good because there's certain regions that don't have a Pro-Am, or certain places that you can't go through a Pro-Am to get into FD. The petitioning thing's been going on like since FD started. You know, this isn't new. Everybody's making a big deal out of this, I think, just because of the person. You know, Adam LZ's famous. He's YouTube famous. So it's like everybody sees it because of all of those followers. The dude's got like 2.5 million followers. Yeah. I think he's definitely capable of doing it. I think it's going to be good for FD. I don't think that FD did it because of who he is or because of the fame or his following, but I think it's going to help the sport. Like, that's a bunch of new spectators. That's new partner possibilities. But yeah, like I said, I feel like he's definitely capable. I feel like he's a good enough driver. There's a lot of people that say he's only going to do good at Orlando, but he's driven other tracks than Orlando. He did well on other tracks. You know, what's that?
He won a Super D run last
Yeah,
year, right?
yeah. So like, Super D's not a Pro-Am feeder, but there's still a shit ton of good drivers out there. It wasn't like an easy win.
Diversity. There you go. There's your diversity. Two different styles of driving. My man's done both. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
doing both.
I've watched him run some Texas Pro-Ams too, and I think the two I watched him do, he got like second and something else high up. So I'm like, okay, well, there's that.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I just think it's getting blown out of proportion in this situation because of who he is. But like, I don't know the numbers, but I would say there's 20 to 50 people that petition every year. You just don't see it because of who they are. They're not somebody that's internet famous.
in the limelight where people would see it happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's my opinion on it.
I agree. This shit's been going on forever. You know what I mean? Like, Nick Hogan was a pro at one point.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Facts.
We've had people that shouldn't have been pros have been pros. It happens. But Adam LZ rips. There's no question about that. You know what I mean? Like, I've talked to, and you know what I think it is that maybe we have a little bit more access to information to talk to legitimate drivers and say, like, what do you think of this? But like, the dude's literally traveled to Japan and put in hours at Ibisu. You know what I mean? Australia, all around the United States. He's come to Club Loose. He's gone to the West Coast. He's won Super D. He's been in Florida. Like, I get it. You're mad. You're mad. You know what I mean? But like, at the end of the day, I can understand if you were mad if this dude just sucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He did all the traveling. He went everywhere and made a fool
and then
of
made a
himself.
fool of himself, and then they still give him an FD license. All right, cool. There.
Yeah.
But like, he doesn't suck. And half the people that are upset, all right, cool, man. Like, we could give you the identical car setup as this dude, and I'm pretty sure he'd still probably walk all over you. You know what I mean? He may not, maybe we're blowing it out of proportion. Maybe we're just hoping for this to work out. But he's a pretty decent dude from what I've seen. I don't know him personally or anything like that. But from all the videos that I've seen and from everybody that I've talked to that are close friends of mine that I know are good drifters that say, yeah, dude, I don't have no problem drifting with that dude. Man, let's see what this kid's got, bro. Like,
I haven't heard one person say something negative like, that actually knows driving and knows FD and's been around it and stuff like that and knows what's going on, say like they don't think it's a good move. But even beyond that, like, there's plenty of forms of motorsports where people petition into the motorsport. Based off of other experience you have, you're qualified. Is anyone mad that Vaughn does off-road truck racing in his free time?
yeah, for real. I think he competed this weekend.
Yeah.
And he got 5th or qualified 5th or something like that in whatever he was doing.
Yep. Sometimes just wheeling a car all the time, driving all the time is enough to be able to adapt to a lot of situations. A lot of FD drivers have left FD and well, not left, but they also partake in other things. Did Tanner go out and run small rallycross events before he jumped to global rallycross? And he mops. Like, yeah, like
nobody's bitching about that.
Nobody's mad about it. My dude came in and put some work.
I remember people used to not like Tanner because he would just always win.
Yep.
How you gonna be mad just because, like, oh, dude, he showed up? Well,
Chris Forsberg's the dude. Chris Forsberg's the dude.
He was there. Forsberg? All right, great. Well, he's winning.
Dude, that's the perfect example. I remember back in the day when Forsberg had like a basic V8 with like stock LCAs, floating calibers, Z everything. And when he won a championship in 09, everybody was happy for him because he won with the simplest car. And then he backed it up, and then backed it up again, and developed a car, and everybody's mad because he wins all the time. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you win once.
Yeah.
You're cool. You do it twice. All right. You do it more than 3-4 times. You're hated. You're hated. You're like, screw that dude. You know, blah blah blah. Like, but it's like, come on, man. It's like, you know what it is? I think a lot of people just want to support the underdog.
That's cool.
That's all it is. They want to support the other, but don't hate somebody who's just genuinely skilled.
Yeah, don't hate the guy that made it there.
If you're gonna, and if we want to support which I think a lot of people like supporting the underdog. Yeah. Well, here you go. This is the one dude who probably has one of the best shots to make it. Yeah, I mean, I ain't gonna mention these other 2 drivers or this one specific driver that I saw at a Pro-Am last year that won, but I don't want to drive with that dude. I want to drive with that. I'm not gonna say what he is, but I ain't gonna drive with that kid. I'm gonna drive with Adam LZ, not with that dude that won that event. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys can piece it together. Whoever's out there, it was in Virginia. Cool. There was a lot of money involved. There is situations where there's a lot of money involved. You walked up to this rig, there was a lot of money involved. All right, and I don't care what anybody has to say about that. But nobody said nothing about that dude. He won the event. He has a Pro 2 license now. Nobody's saying nothing about that. Nope. That dude, in my opinion, doesn't deserve that license. And you're gonna bitch about Adam LZ? Go do your homework. Yep. Just get off the internet. Go do your homework.
Yeah, a driver's petitioning and stuff. It should be based off. It's just based off driver skill. Oh no, you haven't won a Pro-Am, you haven't done this. That's fine, but you got good driver skill. The big thing I would be looking at is: are you gonna wreck someone else's expensive $100,000 car because you're making stupid mistakes and rookie mistakes that you should already be past?
Because to you can build another car, but what about that man right there? He just spent his whole last 2 years, his savings to make it happen. Yeah. And you're just like, well, I just sent it. All right, man, but you sent it, it just cost this dude a huge financial burden that you immaturely just said, whatever, I just sent it. That's wrong. You know, that's just wrong. You shouldn't be doing that.
So are you a danger to everyone else on grid? No. Are you capable of linking the track and doing basic drift maneuvers and somewhat running a line? And can you actually fund the whole season? You don't want to let people, you want to let someone petition in and they just run one event and jump out anyway. And they come in, run one event, wreck a whole bunch of people's cars and jump out anyway. And you're like,
yeah, that's not the type of wild card you want to be coming in.
That's not the wild card.
And it's Formula D, man. Like if they came up to me and says, Reese, we're going to give you a provisional. All right. Yes, I may have years of experience over Adam, but guess what Adam has over me? What you need for Formula D. A lot of seat time right now.
And money.
He has the marketing. Yeah. He has the backing. Yo, FD is a business, man. You don't just go in there and say, oh, I'm just doing it just to do it. No, bro, it's a business. Because you can go in there and playfully say, I'm doing it for the love of the sport. At the end of the day, you are looking at the numbers, man.
Yep.
Try to get media in FD and just say, yeah, you just enjoy taking pictures.
Yeah.
Just try.
I mean, people are going to FD because there's a lot of money that's on the line. And I'm not saying You know, if money's the only way you're getting there, this whole thing has to be balanced. Driving skill, media, your who you are as a public person. It's a career, man. You know what I mean? Money's a component. If you have a lot of money and you don't have the skill set, you're off balance. You got to balance it out. That dude, in my opinion, he has almost everything he needs. Yep. Maybe he won't do it, and then you know what? And it doesn't matter, because if Adam LZ does go to Formula D and he bombs, it's gonna be like anything else. They'll make fun of him for a month, and then drifters will forget about it in a year until the next dude shows up, and then we're gonna bust that kid's balls. Yep. Because that's what the internet does.
I'll tell you a case in point of me putting my foot in my mouth. I remember I read that Alec Hollindale was coming in the FD, and he had only ever done 4 drift events ever and earned his pro license. I was like, oh, this kid's gonna come in here and make a fool out of himself and get mobbed.
Somebody lied, because that dude put a lot of seat time.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, Alec Hollindale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching him in 2013, and I'm like, this dude rips. So that made it. See, there you go. Prime example. Bad information that gets thrown around.
Okay, well, I could be wrong, but my perception of it was that he had only ever done 4 pro-am comps and got his license, and you know, came from like jet ski racing, and I was thinking like, man, this dude's gonna mess up. Alex a shredder.
Yeah, and look, what does he have? He has the backing, the marketing, management, things that you need for Formula D.
He ended up becoming one of my favorite drivers to watch. Like, he was that wild card upset character that could just come in.
Flair, what we liked, you know what I mean? So like when I see other Pro-Am guys get pissed because this dude's getting this and this dude's getting that, you kind of know, like, man, yes, you can drive, you can wheel, but you don't have component A, B, C, D. All you have is A. You don't have B, C, D. And you need all of that to make it work for FD. I mean, at least in my opinion, right? You know what I mean? Like,
and people need to respect that driving talent and other forms of driving too. Like, everybody was mad that one guy came from IndyCar the one season and drove, and you had Andrew Picard come from Rally. And I'm like, Rally is one of the sketchiest things ever, dude. Like, because back in the day, if people don't know, Reese Millen's dad jumped in for 1 round at Irwindale and won. And Reese Millen's dad jumped in, in a silver RX-8, you know, and won the event. You know, and that was back in like the early days. But yeah, it's like, and he was like, oh, yeah, drifting, I do that all the time at 100 mile an hour beside trees off a cliff. Like, it's all good.
Now, maybe the requirements for what they were judging, the criteria, may have been different back then.
But you could tell, you go on YouTube, dig a little bit, you watch the videos, and you could tell that he's like a step above everything that was going on right there. He had never drifted in a form like that. But you could just tell he naturally has car control because he's been honing his skills, but doing something else. Case in point, the guy I worked with in Pro 2 last season, we might interview him at some point, so I don't want to give too much of his story. But this kid, I met him, he was 18 years old, and he had been racing circle track since he was he was like 6, right? And I went by his house at some point, and he has 400 trophies just in the living room. The garage is full of trophies. He's got trophies at family members' houses. You know, he's that guy in circle track. So he went to a Reflections of Drift event with his first 240 or whatever, you know, first event, and they gave him the same spiel. Hey, you're going to put you in C group, and in a couple years you'll be in B, in a couple years you'll be in A. He drove that day. They moved him to A in the same day, and this is his first event.
Which is, case in point, that's a special situation.
Right.
You know, not everybody's going to be like that, but there is some drivers that are like that.
But the people need to respect that you can hone wheeling a car is wheeling a car, and car control is car control. You're just adapting it to a different scenario. The same dude who can wreck some stuff on asphalt could probably wreck stuff on snow too. He's still going to do some amazing things. So, because he understands the balance of the car, he can feel it. He's got sensitive pedal control, the left foot braking, things like that. Circle track left foot braking is really heavy, apparently. It's very important. So this dude's left foot brake control coming in a Pro-Am was like on another level. I'm like, dude, like, people see his brake lights on the whole run, and they're like, why are you braking so much? He's like, oh, I'm just balancing it. Just occasionally I massage it a little bit, you know? And I'm like, man, I never seen somebody do that other than Odie. Right. They gave Odie crap for it back in the day.
Yeah, because then they put the bar roll in. They had to adapt.
Yep, they had to adapt.
And I think that's what's going to happen in drifting. Everybody's going to have to adapt. Nothing's always going to be the same. It's ever forever evolving.
Yep. Okay, so here's a bonus question.
Yeah.
What do you think's the next adaptation, or like what do you think is currently evolving in drifting that you think we might be seeing soon?
Man, so I can say I'm sick of tracks. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of parking lots. I'm sick of tracks. Like, we need to start doing like what Poland's doing, the King of Toge, and going into the mountains. Like, you want to really start blowing people's mind. I mean, that's what I want. Is it marketably and from a business perspective, is it something that could possibly happen? I don't know. I don't know those numbers. I don't know how FD could probably pull it off, but I don't know if maybe the numbers make enough sense to do it. I don't know if there's a lot of back end on this to make these events happen that I don't think a lot of people really take in consideration. Well, we want this to happen. All right, cool. Well, there's like 1 million, strips of white tape that we have to cross before to get to that. Because of legality, you know what I mean? The laws in America are different from the laws in everywhere else in the world. The laws in Japan are different, so that's all going to play in part on what we can and cannot do. I mean, that makes sense, right? Like, I don't know. To me personally, I think the next thing that needs to happen is, I'm a big fan of the Street Series. I'm a big fan of making drivers only drive on a certain tire size and forcing these drivers to learn how to adjust their car for whatever layout we end up running. You know what I mean? There's dudes that have only drifted increasing radius turns, and then you throw them a screwball and you give them a decreasing radius turn, and they start blaming the car. And I'm like, nah, bro, you just suck. You didn't adapt. Yeah, I'm like, come on, bro, learn the line. There's a lot of guys out there that don't understand how to learn, but they have power to back it up. You know what I mean? The people out there that are your fans that don't know you, they don't care. They're just going to see a picture of you with a lot of smoke and say, that's drifting. But then the people that know, that have that understanding are going to be like, yo, you messed up here, here, and here. How can you be okay with that? Now, there's a whole other group of people that will tell you, I just do this for fun. And as whatever opinion anybody can have about that, like, you still have to respect that there's people that aren't going to take it serious, that are just going out there having for fun, and you can't give those people a hard time, I think the street league stuff eventually maybe is going to take off. At least I think I would like to, and the reason I'm saying I would like it to is because I think making a series where like what Aaron's done, I don't entirely understand everything that Aaron's doing down there. I agree with a lot of it. I haven't really dug into it, but when you make it, when you don't have to build a pro car or a pro-am car, and you can get a 350Z and do some stock modifications and then compete, you're making it more obtainable to more people that want to compete.
Yep.
So then you won't have those scenarios when we go to pro-ams, and there is some pro-ams you'll go out there that there will be no drivers that shows up and you have a top 8. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, how many pro-ams can you legitimately say have top 32s? Maybe
and that used to that
used to
be the thing.
That used to be the thing.
Go to Hyperfest, there's like 50, 60
Yeah,
cars.
now you don't have that.
Dude, Kill Care Street Life Tour back in like 09, like this whole paddock was drifting.
Now, I'm not saying there isn't a series out there that may have top 32. Maybe there is. Maybe Top Drift. I mean, I don't want to speak. I'm just saying. I'm not saying there's. It's not like guaranteed this year there's going to be 20 pro-ams with 20 top 32s. That I don't think that's going to happen. And I'm not saying this is going to fix it. But I think maybe this is a direction maybe we should look into, maybe do some research on, and see maybe, could we make this work? Make it more obtainable, because then it's more about proper car setup. Somebody who has a V8 that's running on, I think Drift Challenge Australia does 235s, right?
Yep.
And if you have a V, you can show up with whatever, I think. I may be wrong, you know what I mean? But from my understanding, you can almost show up with whatever as long as you have 235s. So you can show up with a V8. But if you don't know how to set up that V8 or drive the V8 efficiently, a dude with an SR20 with 250 horsepower is going to walk all over you, because he's going to know how to set up his car. You don't know how to set up your car, and he's going to eat you in every corner. Every time you try to dig out a corner, you don't know how to throttle modulate, that dude, because he has turbo lag, is going to like get more grip and just take off on you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like, some dudes don't understand that. If you don't understand that, go do your homework.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think bringing some sort of variation of that street league, however it'll turn out, I think that'll maybe bring more people and say, hey, I can do this. Because drifting used to be the sport that everybody says, I can do this. This is just something I can do.
Yep.
It's slowly starting to get to the point like, damn, this is something I may not be able to do.
I need an enclosed trailer, a tire machine,
Yeah.
a 60-gallon.
Because now you see,
a 3,500
people see cars like what we have, our pro-am cars, and immediately say, well, if I want to be that good, this is what I need.
Yep.
So we're essentially poisoning the water that we're drinking from, because we don't explain why we've decided to step up to this platform and why it's efficient to have a stock car, have an E36 practice car.
That's the funny thing. The dudes that build the big nasty cars all are like, man, I really just want to go drive today, but I don't want to have to deal with all the shenanigans in my crazy car. I really wish I had a Z on some Kendas right now. I could just,
That's where I'm at right
that's
now.
what Donati's at.
You want to get more, so then you look at somebody that, and I know this for a fact, Travis Reeder did an amazing job at FD this weekend, or last weekend. Amazing job. Hands down to that, hands up to that dude. It was awesome. I know, and maybe not many people know, but while I was in the Northwest, I know for a fact that Travis Reeder was practicing in his BMW all the time. He would always go practice. Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, Reese, it isn't the same in his car. It's still seat time. He felt comfortable behind the wheel. I think maybe that had something to do with it.
Oh, for sure.
You know, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know, man. We've been around this long enough where we can kind of be like, I don't know, maybe that plays a role.
Yeah, oh, for sure it does. For sure it does. I preach that to my friends right now, the seat time versus dollar factor. I literally had this conversation last night at 2 o'clock in the morning in a freaking laundromat. And I'm like, you know.
Was there pizza involved?
No, unfortunately. So, you know, I'm like, you gotta really look down and you gotta sit down and look at it. Look at your car, look at how much it costs you to run an event, how many laps did you get, how many of these events can you afford to do a year? You know, the average drifter can afford 6 to 8 events a year.
And this is people that are taking it serious.
These people are taking it serious. 6 to 8 events
So
a
if
year.
you're doing it for fun, this doesn't apply to you.
Yeah.
Go have your fun.
So, you know, you look at it, if your event costs are $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 an event, you know, just in like logistics stuff, that means you need to have $10,000 of disposable income logistically to drift, not including parts to the car, mods to the car, updates to the car, breaking things, and yada, yada, yada. So, you know, you're talking about being close to 15, 16 grand a year in disposable income, shit you can afford to throw away to continue to do it. Whereas the dude that has the stock Z or the basic E46 or 36 BMW or the simple SR Swap 240 can go out and do a whole event on one pair of Kendas. And he has the $100 event fee, $200 in tires, and a little bit of fuel and some drinks. You know, so he dropped $350 today to go drive. And how many times can you afford to do that?
Exactly.
You're gonna maximize your seat time, you know?
You're really not getting nothing out of like today, we saw you drive, you did amazing, your car sounded awesome, tons of smoke. But at the end of the day, you're like, you know what, if I didn't drive today, it would have been okay because I would have saved money, right? But if you would have had a practice car, you would have been out there and just lap after lap after lap.
As many laps.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, think long and hard of how you're gonna spend. If you just have money to spend your money, dude.
Yeah.
Whatever, because if I was rich, I could sit here and lie to you and say, I'd be mature. No, I wouldn't, bro. I'm a human being. I'd be out there buying chasers. I'd be out there acting a fool if I had money. But I don't, so it humbles you.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Respect
So
your
understand
bank
if you do meet somebody that does have that money, put yourself in his shoes. What would you do if you had that money?
Yep.
You know, don't just hate on him just to hate on him.
Don't watch his pockets.
If anything, be a good drifter, be somebody good to the drifting community, take them underneath your wing and say, listen, bro, you got a lot of money. I know you don't care about spending it, but let's help you. Let's help you try to get better so you can understand our world so that money isn't what separates us being boys.
Yeah.
What brings us together is drifting. Not the fact that, oh, you got money, so I ain't gonna fuck with you. No, bro, I don't care you got money. I don't care if you're poor. We're drifting. Like, we're all cool.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with the street league thing. I can tell you personally, me and my friends were excited when MDU announced that they were doing a street league, and we actually started tailoring our cars for it and stuff like that. Corey bought Josh Roloff's old car,
Nice.
the BMW, and you know, we had full interior with the cage and everything, and you know, me and him worked on it together. And a whole bunch of my other friends were like, oh, I don't have to do this stupid fuel cell in the back of my car anymore. I don't got to have all of this craziness. You know, I don't got to have tow control in the back and limit brake, wise fab, everything. I can just throw some cut and weld Johnnies on here and do my thing. And it cuts the build cost down. And like, you know, it cuts the whole upkeep down, and it's fun. And you can go out and have just as much fun. Like the perfect thing for me would be like a 245, 235 series. I'd say if you had a V8, no power adders, everything has to be on 93 octane.
Yeah, that's cool.
You kill the E85, you kill the high horsepower chase by taking away the high octane fuels. Everything's on 93 pump. Everything's on a 245. Limit the tread wear also, and then and everything has to have a synchronized transmission.
Let's eliminate 123s from like not 123s are amazing.
Yep.
Yep.
But let me tell you something. When I drift on 123s, compared on drifting on some other tires, I feel like a god on 123s.
Yeah.
When I drift on 123s, I'm like, I don't care who you are, I'm getting in your shit. You know what I mean? But you know it's the tires, bro.
Yeah.
And like the drivers know it's the tires. But if you make it more about the driving, about challenging yourself, you know, like I think it just makes it more fun. It makes it more, again, attainable. It makes it more interesting. And it ultimately makes it better for the spectators, because this is essentially a spectator sport at the end of the day. And we need to make something that doesn't look fake interesting. I think we should focus on having an organic battle that legitimately looks legit and raw and like really interesting. And the lack of education that the general public has about drifting, they don't really know what goes on sometimes. And I think over the years, it's gonna get better and better and better and better. So the public is going to demand for more legitimate type of things. So I think the evolution is on its way, or it's already happened. I think drifting has grown in many different avenues. And again, we all know that maybe you were born in one generation and this is how you always want it to be because that's what you know. But that's just not the way the world works, man. You know, basketball is played very differently in many different places in the world,
It's all about the
and
three-point
nobody,
shot
yeah,
right now.
right now it's about the 3-point shot. In the 90s, it was about getting into fights and dunking.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So like, it's going to evolve, and you can't be mad about that. What you should do about that is worry about yourself. Try to get, if you want to stay in drifting, figure out a way to make it fun and interesting, and keep going. And don't ostracize all of these people, because one day you may need a part and it's going to come from that dude you were addicted to. You know what I mean? So
$100.
yeah, exactly. You
Outer
know,
tire out.
so be mindful of it. You know what I mean? You know, I've put my foot in my mouth plenty of times growing up in this sport where I will just say some outrageous things, and it's because I was immature and I didn't know. I didn't have the experience. You know what I mean? Heck, maybe 5 years from now when I go back on this interview, I'm gonna be like, damn, I was totally wrong. I'm okay with that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I ain't going nowhere. I don't know nothing but this sport, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. You know what I mean? So that's the way I look at it, man. I think the future for drifting is good. You just got to be okay that there's going to be changes here and there.
My to answer your question though, stadium drifting in America would be sick.
Oh yeah, stadium drifting.
Yeah, every time I watch like the IDC, I think it is or whatever, stadium drifting would be rap. Because I feel like the noises and everything and the smoke being like that close to it, and the fact that you could pack like 20,000 people in a really close space and it's just all up in your face and they got flames shooting out. It reminds me of going to see monster trucks for the first time.
And there's been Formula D drivers that said, why isn't drifting in the X Games?
Oh, yeah.
There's been plenty of dudes in powerful positions drifting that have tried to help, but trying to help means one demographic is going to agree with what you're saying and the other demographic isn't going to agree. So you're not going to be able to please everybody. You know, not everybody likes Forsberg, not everybody likes Vaughn, not everybody likes Daigo, not, you know, like there's dudes that are just like that. So we have to be okay that everybody's going to be different, but at least drifting is where it's at. Yeah. So I think Street Series will definitely help out.
Yep.
For sure. The pro-ams, I'll be honest, I'm kind of on the wall about it. I've been thinking about maybe getting involved with one of them a little bit. But I think ultimately there needs to be a change. I think the way it's going to work though is who is that person or who is that group that decides to be on the forefront of making that change. And I think they need to be drivers.
Yep.
You know, it can't be just an organizer. There's many good organizers out there, but the face of it has to be drivers, because drivers have been in those positions before. Now we have drivers that have gone through those hardships, so they should be stepping up, smooth out the path a little bit and say, okay, Formula D can be Formula D, but if we want to do something for the other demographic, let's work together and try.
Well, guys, thanks for watching the podcast. Again, if you guys want a quick Instagram or Facebook handle that they can find you guys at, or anything like that.
Instagram is Reese Marin. Yeah, at Reese Marin. You type that in Facebook, that'll be there too. All the information, all the School of Drift is on my bio page. But you can go find School of Drift for that school, for anybody that's interested in taking that school. Cool. I am trying to do a East Coast school. We're still kind of working on it. So anybody that's interested in learning how to drift on the East Coast, we're kind of looking into doing kind of the same format on the East Coast, provide cars as well too. So we'll have one on the West and then hopefully one on the East. No really set time or date on that just because I'm involved with some other things at the moment. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And East Coast is the best. and I don't care what anybody says. I'm out.
Beast
Yeah?
Coast.
Beast Coast. Come see us. You know where we at. The greatest place on earth.
From Washington, D.C., so I have to agree with him.
There you go. There you go, right?
All right, Dan, and
It's just my name, at Dan Perlinfine. On Instagram, same thing. Just search it in Facebook, you'll find it. Or hashtag SC325.
cool.
Nice.
And everyone knows Jelani. And again, be sure to subscribe to the channel and give it a share. Thanks for listening again, guys, and be sure to check out for the next one.